5 years ago, I met Loren. Loren, a professional dancer, instructor, and composer, expert in producing elaborate shows with multiple dancers. She was tall and dancing ensured her figure was amazing. You can imagine a young Jennifer Lopez for reference. I met her at one of her shows. I was walking out of the men's room when I saw her coming out of the ladies' room and saw her slip. I was fast enough to catch her and ensure that she does not fall. However, I was good enough to make her fall for me. It was magical and we started dating soon. 2 years later, we got married. I changed my job to ensure that Loren do not have to give up her job, and we bought a house close to her studio. After a year, I asked Loren if we can have kids. It was not a topic that she was interested in. She did not want to have kids as it may put her career in jeopardy. I tried to reason with examples from the music industry, but she sought them down. Although I did not agree with her, but decided to delay this as we were still young. When do I get the invite for your next show? I jokingly asked her. You need to pay this time. You have misused your authority as my husband to get free tickets. She smiled. Do I pay in cash or can I make the payments by other means? I smirked. She took my hand and dragged me to the bedroom and kissed me hard. I wasted no time to make my payment. An hour later, I asked her, So, I get my tickets right? You have a free pass, my love. She smiled and kissed me. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Be there, and this time you have front row seat. She got up and went to the shower. Saturday evening, I was right there on time, and this time as promised by my beloved wife, I had the front row seat. To my left seated a man, dressed in a white suite, floral shirt, and gold chains around his neck. More akin to a blonde version of Tony Montana. I checked him top to bottom and then moved my attention to the dance. 2 hours later after the show, it was time for the crew to come up on the stage for the audience appreciation. As my beloved wife walked out, my heart beat faster. She was looking amazing. The man seated next to me got up and started clapping. I saw his face and I saw him licking his lips. I felt disgusted. He then looked at me and, in his gloating voice, said, I am drilling that bitch. She is a hot one. It just takes a finger to make her wet. You can drill her all night and she still want more. Some heat, man. I was shocked. For a moment I felt that he is talking about someone else, but his eyes were fixed on Loren. For a moment I felt that he was lying, but the seeds of suspicion were planted. I stood there, and for a few minutes, I could not hear any sound, just a faint ring in my ears. I walked out of the theater and almost fainted when fresh air hit my lungs. I never had such an experience. I went home alone and waited for Loren. I checked her car's location via LoJack. She was 15 miles away from the theater. She did not arrive till 4 a.m. I was in my bed and she came in and just hugged me from behind and whispered, I love you. I felt the warmth of her arms, but it soon turned to fire from hell as I remembered the guy from the theater. Next morning, I woke up early and went out to work. I work as an accountant at a local financial firm and make a decent living from there. I reached office early and started working. I finished my work by lunch that day and asked my manager for a day off. I left office and went to my friend Dusty. Staff Sergeant Dustin Smith, a former Ranger and an intimidating figure in the Army. A real-life coconut, hard outside, soft inside. I pulled him out of a burning Humvee in Iraq. Time to call in a favor. Sergeant Timothy Burns, you son of a bitch, you are still alive. He was happy to see me. I am alive and breathing, I said. Well, I am alive as well, all thanks to you. Now, tell me you did not get discharged for being a stubborn SB. I nodded and said, honorably discharged is the right term. I disobeyed the oldies again. So, what brings you to me? Dusty runs a small private investigation firm, and I explained that I need to keep an eye on my wife. I explained what had happened, and I suspect that this has been going for quite some time, and I might have been a fool to ignore things. He nodded and told me that he will do this for free. I smiled, and we agreed to meet a week later. That evening, I went to a local bar, and I saw the same guy again. He was followed by 2 more guys, seemed like his bodyguards. He was brash as ever and even tried to touch the waitress. The staff seemed to be a bit scared. I moved closer to the bartender and asked, who is this guy? He said that he is the son-in-law of a local mobster. He was a small-time bouncer at a local club and became big once he was able to bed the mobster's daughter. Nobody likes him, but everyone hates him, and secretly, everyone wants him dead. I had my drink and went home. I reached home and Loren was in the kitchen. I walked to my bedroom, changed, and fell asleep. Loren came to me and asked to come for dinner. I declined, telling her that I am under the weather. She left me and went to have her dinner. It felt like sleeping on a bed of thorns. I somehow managed to go by the week, faking bad health and stress at office. I just came and slept, and in the morning just left early. I reached Dusty's office on Monday morning and his secretary asked me to move in his office. He was not in his usual chair but was standing near his window. He then asked me to sit and poured me a drink. A meeting with Jack Daniel at 10 a.m.? I asked, "You will need this. I have some bad news and some very bad news. Your wife Loren is dating a slimeball, Alex Wilson. That slimeball happens to be the son-in-law of Francesco Accardi. He runs the underworld here. You file a divorce under adultery, Alex comes after you. However, I have some other information for you. Accardi does not like Alex, he just tolerates as he is his son-in-law. The daughter, Gia, worships the ground Alex steps on. So, hard kill there. In soccer, you score a goal while the goalkeeper stands at the goalpost. That is what happened to me, that is what will happen to him. I need Gia's schedule and if she steps out without her husband. I know for sure that he steps out without her." Dusty then put a big folder and one USB drive on the table. "You need this." I collected everything and went to my office. In 2 hours, I got the call and Dusty told me that Gia is sitting at a local cafe with a friend. I called my manager and informed of a family emergency and left office. I reached the cafe and found only 2 women sitting there. "Gia Accardi, can I have a moment with you? I need to discuss something important with you." She looked at me and said, "Wilson, it's Gia Wilson. I need to speak to you in private. It's urgent. You know who you were talking to, right?" I nodded. "Okay." The other woman moved to a different table. "My name is Timothy Burns. I am an accountant, and your husband Alex Wilson is having an affair with my wife. Here is the evidence for reference." I placed the folder on the table and pictures of Alex with my wife were right in front of her. I can see it in her face as it turned red and she was barely holding her tears. I worship the very ground he stood on, and this is how he repays me. He has a lot of answering to do. I can share a copy of the evidence if she wants to file for a divorce. She smiled and said, "Divorce, he needs to live to stand in for a divorce hearing." I got up and started to walk out. She called my name and asked, "Do you love your wife?" Before I could answer, "Show her love, you may not get a lot of time with her." I felt a cold sweat run down my spine. Did I condemn Loren to death? I went out and rushed to my home. I saw a big Cadillac in front of my driveway. I knew what is going on. I parked my car and rushed inside. I reached my bedroom and pushed open the door. I saw Alex on top of my wife. He looked at me and said, "Get out before I kill you." "Try me, bitch," I sneered. He lunged towards me and tried to punch me in the face. I grabbed him and threw him out of the room. As he was getting up, I kicked him down the stairs. He tumbled down and lay there on the ground. Loren was screaming to stop it. "You will kill him." I looked at her and said, "Worry about your own safety, woman." I went down the stairs and kicked him hard between his legs. I got down, held his head with my hand, started punching him on his nose. As I was punching him, I heard a man scream, "Stop or I shoot." I looked up and saw a man holding a gun at me. I got up and moved back. In seconds, 3 more men entered, and then an old man walked in. "You must be Mr. Burns." "Greetings. I am Francesco Accardi, and I am here to collect Mr. Alex Wilson and Mrs. Loren Burns. You can take this piece of trash, but my wife stays." "I was not asking for your permission, Mr. Burns. I was merely informing you. I said she is not leaving this house. As long as she is my wife, she belongs to me, and no one dare try to take her away. Not your wife." "All right. I can wait, but eventually I will collect her." Within a few seconds, they had picked up Alex and left. I sat down at a chair and closed my eyes. A few moments later, Loren came down and sat near me. She was sitting at my feet, crying. I held her face up and asked, "Why and how long?" He was charming and powerful. I had a moment of weakness, and then it just went on. "It has been 6 months. Please forgive me. I'll do anything and do whatever you ask for. You broke your vows and my trust. I cannot continue like this. I need a divorce." I got up and left the house. I made a phone call to Dusty and asked for a final favor. He obliged. In the next few days, I met an attorney and started the divorce process. I personally served the papers to Loren. She started crying and stated that she will not divorce me and will contest the divorce till the end of time. "You said that you will do anything to save our marriage. I cannot trust anymore, and if I have to stay with you, I need to build that trust again. We need to start again from the scratch like strangers. That cannot happen if you are my wife. So, let's divorce." She kept crying and looked in my eyes. "Do you really want this?" I said yes. We got divorced a few months later. The day I got my freedom, I got a call from Loren to come to the house. "It's urgent." Something in me was dying that day. I gathered myself and went to meet her. I entered and saw her sitting on a chair. "I thought you left to be with your mother," I asked. She stood there silently. I was walking to her when suddenly, a few men walked in through the door. They were followed by Francesco Accardi. "I have come to collect your ex-wife, Mr. Burns." I looked at Loren. She was already looking at me. "I know you wanted this. I am doing this for you." A tear rolled down her cheek and my heart sank. "There is a folder in the bedroom. Please check it." She walked towards Francesco, and as she walked out the door, I saw her eyes. In a few seconds, they were gone. I walked up the bedroom and saw a folder and a letter. I opened the letter. "Dear Tim, I know I broke your heart and my marriage vows. I made a mistake, and I must face the consequences of my action. I know Francesco Accardi told you that he will come for me once I am not your wife. I saw through your lie the day you asked for a divorce. You cannot lie. You are too innocent for that. I promise to do what you told me to, even if it costs me my life. I forgive you. I want you to live a long life. I'll wait for you in the afterlife. Yours truly, Loren Burns." The folder contained Lauren's house deeds, bank details, insurances. She had transferred everything to me. My heart sank. What have I done? I rushed out but could not see anyone. They were gone. That evening in the news, they informed that they found 2 unidentified bodies. They were burnt beyond recognition, and one was a male and the other a female. It has been 10 years since that fateful day, and I still endure the punishment that Loren put me through. I still live.
Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.